Sixth meeting of the Lake County Board of Commissioners. Would all those who are willing and able please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority, and may we use our directives for the common good, and for thy honor and glory. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Here.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Present.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Here. Okay, we have before us the meeting minutes of the regular meeting of December 20, 2022, the organizational meeting of January 5, 2023, the regular meeting of January 26, 2023, and February 2nd of 2023. I have a motion to approve same, waiving the reading thereof.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion?
Mr. President,
Sir.
although I was not present for the December 20th meeting, I did watch the meeting, and it is appropriate under Robert's rules for me to vote on the matter.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, if there's nothing further, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. Okay, we are at our first public comment portion. We do have, well, let's see, Commissioner Plechnik, I believe you have the certificate there. Our friends here from Lake Tran, I believe we have Ben Capel in the audience.
Mr. President, if I might, the Board of Lake County Commissioners wish to honor Lake Tran as they celebrate the 6th annual Ohio Loves Transit Week. Whereas every segment of Ohio, including businesses, communities, individuals, and families, benefit from public transportation. And whereas public transportation is an essential service that impacts economic development, ensures sustainable lifestyles, and offers a higher quality of life. And whereas Lake Tran will celebrate from February 6th through February 11th with elected officials and stakeholders alike, as well as our communities and riders during the 6th annual Ohio Loves Transit Week. Lake Tran provides over 500,000 trips each year, helping to create and maintain jobs that are essential in keeping our communities strong. Whether getting people to work or providing a ride to get a medical appointment, Lake Tran is a lifeline for our community. Now, therefore, the Board of Commissioners in and for Lake County, Ohio, bestows this token of recognition and commendation to Lake Tran. The Lake Tran team is continuously making efforts to benefit every community in Lake County. We wish Lake Tran a healthy and prosperous future. Mr. Capel, congratulations.
Well, I thank you. Thank you for having me. Ohio Loves Transit Week is a great week for us to kind of celebrate with everybody the importance, as you mentioned, of transit around the state of Ohio. I certainly appreciate all the support we get from the Commissioner's Office with the appointment of our great board members. It's just a nice week to remind everybody about not everybody has the same opportunities as having a car and all those things. And, we really take a lot of people to a lot of things, and sometimes it's nice to kind of sit back and kind of appreciate that. So I appreciate the certificate from the Commissioner's Office very much, and as I said, all the continuous support you guys give us.
Excellent. Commissioner Regovich, anything you want to answer?
I look forward to celebrating with you. Party at my house later.
Where's the bus?
As always, Ben, thank you. You're doing a great job. It's always a pleasure to work with you. You've got so many good things going on, but as my colleague often reminds me, it's never official until we present it and take a picture of it. So
I wore my t-shirt today, so
there you go.
I wish I could pull off the tech entrepreneur person better.
In the middle.
You have to go in the middle.
moving target, moving target.
Thank you. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Just tell your board we appreciate it.
I will absolutely.
Have a good afternoon. Don't run away. Okay. I can't run too fast, so. Although hopefully you guys don't have like a tranquilizer dart or something back there, you know.
No, I know you don't often get, while we got you, I know you often don't get to talk about the other program, the STS, other stuff like that.
Sure.
You know, do you want to maybe give a quick commercial for that?
Sure. So one of the things Lake Tran did, it was actually in 2019, we started a program called STS, which stands for Special Transportation Services. It's kind of an homage to what Lake Tran started out as a long time ago. And it is a service that we provide lower cost charter type services. We have a lot of contracts with senior centers. We had a contract with Willowick, with Mayor
This guy.
Rich. And our objective was to kind of help cities. You know, a lot of folks everyone had their own bus, and those are expensive to maintain, can be difficult to deal with. So we sort of tried to centralize all that and keep, you know, the buses. We have the buses, but we have less of them than all the cities combined, and we can kind of together reduce the costs for us and for the senior centers and kind of for everybody. And so we do that. It's available to any government or nonprofit agency that needs bus service. It's more charter service. We go to different places. We go to downtown. We've gone to Erie. We go to kind of all over the place. And we have 4 of those buses that we actually store at a special building because we're not allowed to store them in our current building because of some federal regulations. But it's one of the creative things we did to try and help all the different cities in Lake County kind of operate more efficiently, really. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. I think it's a great service.
A little history, though. The buses are decommissioned former Lake Tran main fleet buses.
They are. They were Commuter Express buses that were replaced, and they were fully depreciated, so we were able to transfer them to the other organization, which operates with a different bank account. It's not funded by the taxpayers. It kind of is self-supporting. So once those buses reached the end of their life, we transferred them over there, and they kind of live a second life.
And again, since the public has such an interest in all the things we spend time and money on, there's
Sure.
even some buses that you physically have to destroy before you can.
Yeah, you know, most of our, we call it capital items, so building renovations, buses, anything we buy is a capital expense, and we get grants for a lot of those things. So some of the primary grants come from the federal government in a whole bunch of different formats, and for buses, one of the grants we get is from the Ohio EPA. It's called a DERG grant, or Diesel Emission Reduction Grant. If you get money through that program, it's actually gotten more strict over time, but they make you destroy the bus. It used to be they made you punch a hole in the engine block so you couldn't use the engine again. Now you have to actually cut the bus in half. So we have video of buses being cut in half at the scrapyard, and it's a very sort of onerous decommission process. So we have a partnership with a local scrapyard who has a guy with a torch, and we have to sit there with a little camera and videotape it, and then we have to send it to the EPA for approval. So not all the buses, only the buses that come that are funded that way have to be disposed of that way. The other ones we auction. But yeah, there are some buses you may see kind of cut in half somewhere. I believe the place is down along 84 somewhere.
It's kind of the transportation's idea of a Viking funeral, apparently.
we don't shoot a flaming arrow or anything, but
That could be arranged. There's been enough of those lately.
Yeah.
The other thing is Ohio checkbook. You know, I'm kind of thinking Lake Tran, that would be a real benefit to Lake Tran to adopt that. You know, again, there's so much interest, some of just these little nuances that you shared here with us today.
Sure.
The public has no idea the things you have to contend with.
Okay.
It might be a great vehicle, all puns intended, to get that information out to the public, and we can get you more certificates. I'm sure Auditor Galloway would gladly come up here and our treasurer and say, "Hey, thank you." So, just want to throw that out to you.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Exciting times.
myself and our board, everybody believes very strongly in transparency, so I'm sure that's something we'd be happy to look into.
Mr. President,
Sir.
Open Checkbook was started in another state, but it was first brought to Ohio, to my knowledge, by then Ohio Treasurer Josh Mandel. It was a big initiative that he brought through. Our auditor, Chris Galloway, when he was first appointed, brought it to Lake County government. When I was a councilman for Willoughby Hills, it was an initiative that I pushed, and so we adopted it for our city. It's actually a very easy process because most, and I'm sure that Lake Tran is similar in this regard, most public entities use one of a handful of common software systems, and all of them are compatible with Open Checkbook. So it's not as though you're manually inputting the data. Pretty much you just click upload. Now, you do have some issues where coding may not work perfectly, and so you typically will review it the first couple of times to make sure that you're not showing you spent $800 million on, like a bubble bath. But once you get through those little coding issues, it's an entirely automated process where you just click upload whenever you want to refresh the data. So it's a very affordable way of giving the public access. And one of the ways the Treasurer's Office bills the benefit is that it reduces public records requests, because people can get the answers that they want without having to make the request in the first place. If they could see, okay, this is how much was spent on salaries or on this particular bus, or this is the purchase order, then they don't have to ask for it themselves, and it saves a lot of time and effort in addition to having greater transparency. So I'm sure that Auditor Galloway would love to sit down with you and talk about our experience, but it's been a very positive one. More seriously, though, I would just say thank you again. I have friends who are sight challenged. I have a lot of friends who are seniors for whom Lake Tran isn't a convenience, it's a lifeline. And we appreciate the fact that you treat those situations with the seriousness they deserve, that you work with people individually, not just a big bus and a one-size-fits-all, to make sure that you take care of them, you get them to their doctor's appointments, you help them to maintain their lifestyle, even as they deal with different challenges and disabilities. It's one of the many ways Lake County works to make sure that we can age in place, that we can stay in our own homes, so that even if we don't have the blessing of a relative who can take us to the appointment, there's still a way that we can be independent.
Sure, we are really a critical lifeline. The one other thing I think it's good for me to mention while I'm here about Dial-A-Ride is, I know a couple months back, us and probably your office was getting some complaints from the citizens about service quality and service performance. We did have a relatively challenging October. Our demand during COVID had stayed somewhat flat. And then I hope for a positive reason, in September we saw a pretty significant increase, and also in October. And we've had the same hiring challenges as other folks. I've been working with everybody here to work on a grant for a training program. And so we did have a challenging October, and service quality really wasn't where we wanted it to be. We have hired 75 people in the last 7 months, so it's a pretty significant push for us. Normally we have about 200 drivers, so we really have been pushing training through, and I'm happy to say service quality is returning to where it needs to be. But if your office got any, complaints or feedback about October, we did have a rough October, but it was really sort of an unpredicted demand. With COVID, it's been hard to see where things are going, and I know your offices have faced all kinds of difficult decisions with COVID. But our ridership at the end of 2022, we had a couple months that were above 2019, so we have gone kind of beyond where the pandemic started from. But with the hiring challenges we've all had, we had a lot of struggles, but I think most of those are behind us, so I'm happy to say that.
Very good. Awesome. So while you're here, did you want to get with our deputy clerk, we can schedule your next round of certificates? And
whatever would work well for you guys.
You want to just be surprised?
Mr. President.
Sir.
That's my turn.
There you go. And what was your last name?
Regovic. Reverse.
I'd like to personally thank Ben and Lake Tran. The initiative of the buses, I guess, as a mayor, it was important for us to have our seniors go on their trips. If you can imagine, every city had a 30-passenger bus. We had a 30-passenger bus with about 36,000 miles on it, and we changed tires like 4 times, because most of the times it would sit and those tires would dry rot. So what kind of pushed us over the edges when they went to Pennsylvania and on the way back, they were stuck in Geneva because the tires blew out. So here I am on a Friday, getting my minivan, getting another van, and trying to go rescue seniors who are on the side of 90 because they all had to go to the bathroom. So having a professional driver, having a high-quality bus compared to what we had was so important, and the cost factor is way less than it is for me to maintain that bus, or was for me to maintain that bus. Also, I got the chance to tour Lake Tran recently, and they're going to make some improvements, which I think are much needed. But Ben has always been ahead of the game when it looks to saving money or to help out the county. One of the things we spoke about, which I'd like to encourage and help foster, is To get a CDL driver, and Randy probably can attest to this, now by the federal government costs a lot more money and a lot more time. So every city struggles, but Ben has three people that can train locally here in Lake County, so we can hopefully work out something where we can train our own people here in Lake County, whether it's city, county, or what, and then have it done right here in Lake County, and we can control the training and the quality, and hopefully save time and money doing that way too. So thank you, Ben, and thank your board.
No problem. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? So
Indeed. Thank you, sir.
thank you very much.
All right, we're in our first public comment portion. Do we have anyone wishing to address the board? Sir?
John Music, 45 Coventry Drive. I just wanted to mention, which nobody has thus far, about what our sheriff has done here in the last week in regards to that raid here in Painesville. And, these are the things that need to be mentioned. These things happen, and just like he has said and I have said, we have a southern border too here in Lake County. And there's a lot coming into our country, and people don't want to talk about it for various reasons. Well, I do. And the thing about it is, it's just like, we have 23 communities, 9 villages, 9 cities, and 5 townships, if I remember correctly. And the thing about it is how much the county does help all these communities, and they don't get reimbursed for all of it. But the thing about it is, just like what the sheriff did there, he had the SWAT team and so forth and so forth. And I want to thank the sheriff and all the people involved in that, but not just in that, but everyday things that happen. There's nothing more important than the safety of the people here in Lake County. And we've got to make sure that we pay more attention to that. And when you sit and think, okay, look at just here recently, the only reason I'm talking about the city of Painesville because it's our county seat. It wasn't long ago, and I know the sheriff will probably remember, but over on Grant Street in Painesville, there was originally a shooting, and then there was a drug raid. And then we had this incident over here at Jackson and Richmond. And then supposedly we had somebody shot over on Nebraska Street. And now we have this. Okay? This is proof what is happening. A lot of it's drug oriented, of course, not all, but the things of it is, people always say, oh, that happens in California or Chicago or New York. No, it happens here. And we've got to realize that and make sure we do something about it. That's all I could say a lot more, but I only got 5 minutes. And the last thing I'd like to say about Lake Trent, I've gotten some calls, like I told you, in my community. In the 11 the condos where I live, there are seniors there. And the woman was telling me, because she read the article about Lake Erie College getting, for the students over here, 65 dorms, they're going to get this free, this ride free, and that ride free, to go to this and that. And she was telling me how much she pays when she has to use it. And I said, you're a senior. And she said, well, I got to pay for this. And then when she saw the article about Lake Erie College receiving it for the dorms, everything was free for interviews, jobs, and transportation over to the college. I just think that, in my opinion, we've got to do more. Everybody, every department, everybody who receives taxpayer dollars needs to do more here in Lake County for the seniors. Like it's been said, and thank you, Commissioner Plechnik, for mentioning the seniors, as I always will, because hopefully someday everyone in here will be one. And the thing about it is, we've got to look out for the people that have worked hard for all their entire lives, and now they need help. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, John.
Okay, anyone else wishing to address the board? Anyone else? Very good. Madam Clerk, first item, please.
In the Utilities Department, resolution approving final change order number 1 with Terrace Construction Company Incorporated for the 2023 large meter replacement project number 455W, decreasing the total contract amount by $52,237.67.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Randy, you want to give some background to that?
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, this was, we had several large meters that needed to be replaced that were not registering properly, so we hired this out, or bid this out, and Terrace Construction was the low bidder. With these types of projects, there are a lot of unknowns on what exactly is going to be needed to make the replacements as far as valves, and not just the meters, but valves and some excavations and new meter pits and that sort of thing. So it's a unit price contract where we have a number of things that we may want them to do that we get a price for, and this final number reflects we went a little bit under the most we may have thought we were going to have to bid. So that reduced the contract by $50-some thousand.
Pretty good, well done. All right, if there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving plans, specifications, and estimates of cost in the amount of $121,198 for Auburn Road Sanitary Sewer Extension Job Number 22-49 in Concord Township.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of a first amendment to the water supply agreement and the sanitary sewage system agreement with the Village of Madison related to the transfer of the Village Municipal Water Works and Sanitary Sewage System to the Lake County Department of Utilities Water and Sewer Divisions, and for the assumption by the Lake County Department of Utilities an exclusive franchise within the Village of Madison.
Move to approve.
Second.
And discussion. Randy, I know we've talked about this, and I think we were working on this deal back when I was still with Madison Village. So we're extending this. Can you give us a little bit of history and then maybe a little dialogue as to little history, I think. would be
Sure,
good.
yeah. This is something, as you said, I was involved with back in 2004 when we first started negotiating the utilities department or the county taking over the village, both water and wastewater system. We came to an agreement in 2018. At that time, it seemed like 5 years was going to be plenty of time to construct the necessary facilities to be able to abandon the wastewater treatment plant, Madison's wastewater treatment plant, and connect it to the county wastewater treatment plant. What this agreement or this amendment is doing is simply extending that time period for an additional year to get those facilities built. It's currently under construction, the pipeline along Hubbard Road and Middle Ridge Road, and we hope to have that done by February of next year, and then that will complete that transfer agreement.
And it's a sort of a package deal, water and sewer transfer same time. Reason I bring that up is there's been an awful lot of questions regarding fire hydrants and maintenance of the water distribution system. There was some concern as to what is the responsibility of the county, what is the responsibility of the village. My concern is before we approve this, I want to make sure here and now, for the record, that those differences of opinions of interpretation have been resolved, and that the village knows what they're responsible for, and all these garbage bag covered fire hydrants are their responsibility, not ours. I'll just cut right to the point. That's what seems to be the uproar from the community.
Absolutely. There's always been an understanding between Dwayne Bailey, the administrator, and myself as far as who's responsible, and it's very clear that he is going to make sure that all those fire hydrants are in working order before that transfer occurs. I talked to him about a week ago, and he told me that all but 2 of the hydrants have been delivered and are ready for a replacement, so they're going to be working on that this spring.
And no pun intended, but going a little deeper, isolation valves, system valves, I know there was some concern about who's responsible for those, cycling them, maintaining them, replacing them if necessary. That again, that's still on the village. That is not a county thing, but once the county takes over, then it becomes our responsibility. It's up until the time of the transfer, everything is on the village's nickel, basically, is where I'm going with this.
Yes, maintenance and making sure that the water system is operating functionally is completely the village's responsibility until this transfer occurs sometime in the next year.
I think I've checked off all the stuff that we've gotten phone calls and emails about, so I know the village, I do have to ask this question, so if the village needed to know, and I still live there, I think the village approved their extension back on January 9th. I kind of think it would have been nice if they would have told us how we're going to be asking for this. I find that a little bit odd that the cart was in front of the horse on that one. Did they offer an explanation of why they did that without telling us that they were going to ask for it? I'm just a little curious how that
We were in discussions with the village, without this amendment, without this happening, essentially the agreement would sunset, and we would both kind of be out what we've invested in it. So I think it's a mutually beneficial for both parties, and extending it a year is going to make sure that what we intended to do in 2018 does happen.
Oh, I don't disagree with the value of it. I'm just a little bit concerned as to the timing of it. If we say no, or if I say table this and one or more of my colleagues agree with that, I'm just deeply concerned about the level of communication that the village has demonstrated to this board. And I live there in the Madison Village. I'm a little bit confused. I know there was a lot of exchanges of who was responsible for what, and I don't want to see that happen again. And I'm hoping that the meeting minutes will reflect that we had this conversation of who's responsible for what. It is this board's understanding that should we approve this, it is with the understanding that the village will be adhering to the document that has been agreed to. I don't mean to put you on the spot. This is more for our meeting minutes. But they can either talk to us or they can read our meeting minutes. But if they try to depart from this agreement, that's challenging. I'm just deeply concerned about the lack of communication there.
Understood.
So thank you. Gentlemen, anything you want to add to the discussion, or have I hit all the key points that we've seen in our emails and other communications? We're good? Awesome. All right, with that, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution awarding a bid contract in the amount of $899,987.30 to SCS Engineers Incorporated for the 2022 LFG System Construction Project 458L.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution certifying unpaid water and sewer sums and administrative charges to the Lake County Auditor.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In Job and Family Services Department, resolution appointing individuals to the Lake County Workforce Development Board and the Lake County Youth Committee.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Sir.
I would just say, as we would with all of our boards and commissions for Lake County, we thank everyone who's been willing to step up and take on these roles. They're very important. Perhaps our director would like to add, but we're grateful for their continued contribution and support.
Thank you, Commissioner Plechnik. Yes, I would say ditto to that. We are very appreciative of all of the individuals in our community that volunteer to be on these very important boards and committees. And I believe the Workforce Director, Corey Vojak, is here somewhere and was hoping to say a bit more about this as well.
Timing's everything. Thank you, ma'am. Corey, the microphone is yours. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. So this resolution is for every year that we update the Lake County Workforce Development Board for 3-year rotating term periods. For this year, I'm requesting, and the board's requesting, terms for 8 board members and 2 youth committee members that are set to expire on March 14th, 2023. We are recommending the reappointment of these 10 members. All these individuals have been contributing members of the board and committee and have agreed to continue and serve. And with that, these requests and appointments will keep the Workforce Development Board in state and federal compliance.
Excellent. Thank you. Gentlemen, anything else? Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Commissioner's Office, resolution authorizing execution of an amendment to the agreement between the Lake County Board of Commissioners and the Communications Workers of America, Local 4340, effective January 1st, 2023, and expiring December 31st, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Lake County Board of Commissioners to enter into a federal equitable sharing agreement with the United States Department of Justice and the United States Department of the Treasury on behalf of the Lake County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, and the Lake County Sheriff's Office to receive federally forfeited property and/or funds.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Legal, I know this is something we see annually, but did you want to give a little background on that, sir?
Well, yes, it is entered into annually, and it has to do with forfeitures of monies and properties in certain situations, and it helps fund law enforcement.
Very good. Anything else for legal? Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution declaring certain equipment used by the Lake County government offices surplus or obsolete and not needed for Lake County use, and authorizing private sale of said equipment in accordance with Section 307.12B1 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
And the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $3,116,054.84.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $12,958,876.31.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations for various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution transferring appropriations within various non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. Very good. This brings us to our departmental reports portion of our meeting. Utilities.
Thank you, Commissioner. We've talked over the last several years about the increased costs of infrastructure projects as it occurs to utilities. And as we begin preparing to advertise for some projects for our 2023 capital improvement program, we're seeing that that trend is continuing. A couple of projects we want to bid over the next couple of weeks. The engineer's estimate has gone up approximately 50% in the last year and a half on these projects. So we had a budget for improvement program going in, and it's really cutting in about a third of that amount of work that we're able to do. So as we get them advertised and get the actual numbers, we can report back, but the trend of increased cost is definitely continuing.
Sobering. Gentlemen, anything for utilities?
No end in sight.
No, there really isn't. I mean, there's multiple things I think that are affecting it. You know, supply chains continues, so contractors are taking a risk on whether they can even get materials when we tell them they have to be done in 90 days or 180 days, whatever that cost is. Just simple inflation on the goods also, and I think the other thing is just there's a lot of work out there right now. So contractors are able to kind of choose what they want to do, with the grants and that sort of thing that are available. And we're getting, instead of 8 or 10 bidders on a project, we're getting 2 or 3. And so that's driving the price up also.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on, Job and Family Services.
Thank you, Commissioner. I know that I have spoken quite frequently in the last several months about changes to the SNAP and Medicaid program, so I just want to issue another important reminder that SNAP emergency allotments will be ending this month in February. February is the last month that individuals will receive those emergency allotments. And beginning in April, individuals who do not respond to renewal packets sent from our agency for their Medicaid benefits, they can begin getting disenrolled from the Medicaid program. Again, I've said it before, I will continue to say it, all of these changes are a result of changes in the federal government, law changes. I walk through my lobby and folks stop me and say, well, why are all of these things ending? And really, it's not a decision that we are making at the county level. It's based on federal law changes. So I just want to continue to get those words out to the public, and encourage individuals who are looking for additional supports to call our friends over at Lifeline, the community action agency here in Painesville. They can do that by calling 211 to seek out additional resources and supports. Thank you.
Very good. Anything for Suzanne? Thank you, ma'am. All right, moving on to County Administrator.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just briefly, I know all three commissioners, Mr. Capel, Mr. Gills, are members of NOACA, had a meeting earlier this week with two of the commissioners looking at major transportation and infrastructure projects that are on a transportation improvement plan in NOACA's verbiage, the TIP. We will be submitting projects to make sure projects that are on there are still accurate, or to add projects that were not on the list to make sure that Lake County is at the forefront of any future federal funding that NOACA may avail themselves to. We also sent that list to the mayors and managers this week and asked for their input. I have received a couple more projects from Jim Gill's office on some bridge projects that were not on the list. So thank you to the commissioners for inviting me to that. I will get that sent to NOACA leadership tomorrow. And then on that secondary list that we worked on, I gave mayors and managers until Monday, and I will get that sent to downtown as well. With Commissioner Hammercheck's position and leadership, I think this is a good year for us to garner some resources from NOACA, deservedly so. Secondly, and I'll probably steal Jen's thunder, I know we have budget hearings beginning next Tuesday, followed by, I believe, the following Tuesday, the 21st. Those will be publicly advertised. I think we have about 7 budget hearings scheduled thus far.
Yes, there are 8, and they're also posted on the website in a couple different places.
Gotcha. And then finally, Aaliyah Barajas and I had the opportunity to meet with leadership at UH this week, Lake County, just to talk about gaps that they see within the hospital systems relating to senior citizens. It was a very good introductory meeting so that we could hear some needs that they see. They heard a little bit about what Aaliyah's doing, our senior centers, et cetera. So I think we're going to have a nice partnership with the UH officials as it relates to our senior centers and programming and community events. When a senior's discharged, make sure they know of all the resources that are available here at Lake County, the Council on Aging, et cetera. So I just want to keep you up to speed on that. So thank you.
No, that is appreciated. I appreciate that follow-up as we did the membership transfer from Lake Health to the UH Control. That was one of the things that my other colleagues prior to John and Rich, we had emphasized working more closely with existing platforms. The cost is going to be minimal, but the value would be great, and I really appreciate what you and Aaliyah do to help close those loops, because things like that tend to get lost to history, and unfortunately, things getting lost to history are all too common in government.
Well, even simple, and I should have told Suzanne, but simple connections of county leaders, giving them the contact information to Suzanne, to Aaliyah, to folks who deal with seniors in the county. So if there's a pressing issue, we can connect directly with leadership both at the county and at UH to take care of that senior's needs moving forward. So we're going to send the executive team of UH a contact of key folks here at the county, myself, Aaliyah, Suzanne, Suzanne's one of her supervisors or administrators, just so that we can make sure that we don't leave any stone unturned when it comes to treating and helping our seniors. So we'll continue that partnership with UH.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Anything else for our administrator? Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, moving on to clerk. Madam Clerk.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that our commissioners meeting next week is going to be on Tuesday, February 14th. We will not have a meeting on Thursday. It's going to be February 14th at 2 p.m. And prior to that, as Jason mentioned, we do have 2 budget hearings, one at 1 o'clock and one at 2 o'clock here. Or I'm sorry, one at noon, one at 1 o'clock here in Chambers, with our regular meeting at 2.
Very good. Easy for you to say. Thank you, ma'am. Anything else for our clerk? Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to legal.
No reports, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. All right, this moves on to old business. Do we have any old business to come before this board? Any old business? Hearing none, moving on to new business. New business?
Mr. President?
Sir.
A few items. If I'm not mistaken, today is Judge Lucci's first day as Appellate Judge Lucci, so I know there was a luncheon and get-together yesterday. I was unable to join, so I want to give my regards here and now. Congratulations to our judge on being elevated to the 11th District. I'm sure he will acquit himself well in the new role, and hopefully he affirms all of our prosecutors' cases. But congratulations there. Looking forward to the commissioners meeting on Valentine's Day. I think we're having our budget hearings then because we love budgets and we love budgeting. And I want to join the city of Mentor as well as all of Lake County in congratulating Joe Casper, a Mentor High grad who's coached in many different capacities. He was a coach at my alma mater at Duke University for 3 years, but he's now an assistant defensive coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. So we wish the local guy luck in the big game this Sunday, and we're proud that Lake County has a role in everything, even the Super Bowl.
Very good.
Mr. President,
Sir.
I had to breathe, so he beat me to the punch with congratulating Judge Lucci on his victory. But I did go to the luncheon. It was nice. Kind of sad too. His time here in Lake County was well served, but we still have him as the appellate court judge, and I'm happy for that for the rest of his career, I hope. Also, I attended the Department of Utilities training with Marvin Montgomery. I encourage all of our employees to take advantage, even my fellow commissioners here. I got a lot out of it. Randy, Marvin's fantastic. But this is, it's the health of our employees. It's the mental health of our employees and putting on a good attitude, a positive attitude. It was really, really moving, and I encourage it, and I was happy to take part in it. Also, the Philadelphia Eagles head coach is a graduate and a player at Mount Union, where my daughter and son, my son graduated, and my daughter goes to college, so they're pretty happy down there too. So,
very good. All right, any other new business? All right, I'll jump in. Local government funds. That's been a hot topic for quite some time, especially the fact that Lake County works under an alternate formula for the distribution of local government funds. Earlier you might have heard me make mention of things getting lost to history. So one of the things I like to do is drill down on things to understand what we're looking at. So normally I bring things forward about the time that they're a little bit more mature and in their final form, but the last thing I want to be dealing with is hearing what did you know and when did you know it. So with that said, the local government fund formula, Exhibit A, as was adopted, I believe, in July of 1982, has reliance for population data. And if I may read the pertinent paragraph, in the event population figures are no longer available from the U.S. Office of Revenue Sharing, a majority of the legislative bodies of all of the participants must agree by motion on what alternate source to use, period, new sentence. If a majority consensus is not agreed upon, the final decision shall be made by the Budget Commission, period. New paragraph, this titled, Notices to Budget Commission, certified copies of minutes containing all motions passed by the various legislative bodies of the participants shall be forwarded to the Budget Commission within 10 days after passage, period. It appears that all member parties are in violation of the agreement. We've been working under this for about 40 years. In September of 1986, that's 36 years ago, the Office of Revenue Sharing ceased to exist. Let's see, the background on this is the General Revenue Sharing Program as authorized in State and Local Fiscal Assistance Act of 1972. The General Revenue Sharing Program was extended 3 times before finally expiring on September 30th of 1986. That's almost a 15-year life of the GRS program from 1972 through 1986, and there was more than $83 billion transferred from the federal government to state and local governments. From 1972 to 1980, states received approximately 1/3 of the grants and local governments received 2/3. state governments were excluded from the GRS at the beginning of 1981 in that fiscal year. We are looking into this, and when I say we, the prosecutor's office is putting a diligent effort into determining if this is something that is voidable, where we stand, and what the potential ramifications are. There are a number of communities that have been researching as to what to do to change things, and they were always stymied. A little deeper analysis indicates that the document itself, the instrument that we've all been adhering to in terms of how the distributions have gone, has not been actually being followed. So again, I just in full disclosure, very early in this analysis, the prosecutor's office is on this. Charles Colson is taking this extremely seriously. But yeah, that's where we're at with that. Legal, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, or did I pretty much summarize it appropriately, sir?
I think you summarized it pretty well, Commissioner. Nothing to add.
Thank you, sir. All right, gentlemen, if you have nothing more to add to new business, we'll move on to our second public comments portion. Sir?
I'll make this quick.
Fine, sir.
John Music, 45 Coventry Drive, and I've said this for years, even before our sheriff today and our director here with JFS. The true barometer of our county is how busy JFS is and our sheriff. And I believe both of them are busy, just like the jail. It'd be nice if the sheriff would come in and say, oh, we have nobody in jail today. You know, it's really slow. Everybody's following the laws and so forth. And Suzanne would come in and say, oh, no, it's really slow. You know, we really don't have a lot of people applying for help. But this is the realist. We got to be real. I'm an optimist, but also a realist. We can't just ignore this. And in my opinion, that's the true barometers of Lake County. So we've got to do what we have to do and prioritize, and let's get it done so the people in Lake County, which is our number one priority, may it be protection or helping them, because we all know a lot of seniors are hurting. I know where I live, 2 of them had to give up their cars, and they just couldn't afford them. It was either lose the roof over their head or give up their car, and they gave up their car. And that, you know, so all I'm saying is a lot of people need help. So may it be protecting them and or assisting them. So do what you can. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address the board at this time? Anyone else? All right, moving on. There is a request for executive session. The 2 stated purposes are real estate acquisition and pending litigation. There will be no business to be conducted afterwards. Do I have a motion to adjourn for the reasons so stated?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Regovich.
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher.
Yes.
Commissioner Himmelcheck.
Yes. Thank you for joining us today.